Imagine a battlefield deep in the forests of West Africa. The smoke of gunfire fills the air. French soldiers, armed with rifles and cannons, advance steadily. But from the mist, a disciplined African army emerges, men trained in formation, armed with imported rifles, led by a man whose voice commands like thunder. His name, Samory Touré. To some, he was a warlord. To others, a hero. To history, he was Africa's Napoleon. In the late 19th century, as European powers carved up Africa in the infamous scramble for Africa, one man stood against the tide of colonization. Samory Touré, founder of the Wassular Empire, built one of the most formidable African states of his time, a nation forged through strategy, trade, and relentless resistance. While kings and kingdoms fell to European armies, Samory defied them for over 2 decades, uniting thousands under his command and proving that Africa was not conquered easily. This is a story of a man who dreamed of sovereignty, fought with genius, and refused to bow. Samory Touré was born around 1830 in the region of Mandinka near modern-day Guinea. He was not born into royalty, nor did he inherit power. He built it. As a young man, Samory's mother was captured by slave raiders. In a daring move, Samory joined her captors, served them for 7 years, and ultimately won his freedom and haze. This act revealed a mind both strategic and loyal, qualities that would define his rule. After his release, Samory joined the local trade networks that connected the Niger Basin with coastal routes. Through trade, he gained wealth, followers, and influence. By the 1860s, he had begun consolidating power, organizing warriors, and establishing alliances across diverse ethnic groups. He became the farmer, ruler, of a new empire, stretching from Guinea to Mali, anchored by the city of Bissindugu. Samory was not just a warrior, he was a nation builder. He organized his army into modern units, with ranks, uniforms, and firearms imported from the coast through trade with the British and Sierra Leone merchants. He built fortified towns, established tax systems, and encouraged Islamic scholarship. His empire blended tradition with modern statecraft, a fusion of African leadership and military modernization. At its height, the Wassular Empire encompassed territories across modern Guinea, Mali, Côte d'Ivoire, and Sierra Leone, ruled through a network of governors loyal to Samory. He was also a master diplomat. When the French began encroaching from the west and the British from the south, Samory balanced both sides, signing treaties, securing trade, and buying time. But diplomacy could not hold forever. The French, hungry for control, saw Samory's growing power as an obstacle to their empire. In 1882, the first clashes began. From 1882 to 1898, Samory Touré waged one of the longest resistance wars in African history. His army, numbering tens of thousands, used guerrilla tactics, scorched earth strategies, and swift mobility to counter the better-armed French forces. He moved his capital multiple times, never allowing the French to corner him. The French, stunned by his tactics, called him the Black Napoleon. Each defeat only taught him to fight smarter. When French troops captured one of his cities, Samory would burn supplies, retreat deeper inland, and rebuild elsewhere. His resilience turned his empire into a moving fortress, an empire without walls but bound by loyalty. But the tide began to turn. By 1891, French firepower and relentless campaigns were wearing his forces down. Ammunition became scarce. Trade routes were blocked. Samory began relocating eastward, hoping to rebuild in the upper Niger regions. Even then, he never surrendered. In 1897, when his son Karamuko was captured, Samory reportedly said, "An empire can be rebuilt, but a man who kneels to invaders loses his soul." By 1898, after 16 years of near-constant war, Samory's empire was fractured. The French, now controlling the coast and the trade routes, closed in from multiple directions. Samory, still leading his men, retreated toward the forest regions of modern Côte d'Ivoire. But betrayal, exhaustion, and dwindling supplies caught up with him. In September 1898, French troops finally captured Samory Touré near the town of Guélémou. Even in chains, witnesses say he stood tall, unbroken, calm, dignified. The French exiled him to Gabon, far from his homeland, where he died 2 years later in 1900. The empire fell, but his legend began. For many Africans, Samory's resistance became a symbol of courage, proof that colonization did not happen without defiance. Samory Touré's struggle left an indelible mark on African history. He was one of the few African rulers to establish a centralized state capable of long-term resistance. His military structure influenced later liberation movements across West Africa. In Guinea, he is revered as a national hero, the grandfather of Ahmed Sékou Touré, the country's first president, who invoked Samory's legacy during the fight for independence in the 20th century. His name lives on in monuments, literature, and songs, a reminder that African resistance did not begin with independence movements but was born on the battlefields of heroes like Samory. History often celebrates conquerors, but Samory Touré was a man who fought not to conquer, but to defend. He stood against the world's most powerful empire with courage, intelligence, and faith. Though the French took his land, they could not take his legacy. When we look back at Samory's story today, we see not just a warrior, but a visionary, a leader who believed that Africa's destiny was his to defend. He was, and remains, the general who refused to kneel.